Imagine if you end up with the wrong mentor in your life. What would happen? Years of hard work, trust, and time would all go in the wrong direction. But if you find the right mentor, even an ordinary person can create history. Now I'm about to ask you a slightly uncomfortable question. Is the person guiding you in your life truly helping you rise, or just turning you into a follower? Today's story is not just about Swami Vivekananda or Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. This is your story, my story, and the story of every person searching for the right direction in life. Stay till the end of the video, because the final point might change how you see your mentor. Deep down, many of us believe that times have changed. We now have Google, YouTube, books, podcasts, and online courses, so why do we even need a guru? I can learn on my own, decide on my own. It sounds smart, but pause for a moment and think honestly. If information alone could transform lives, then all educated people, all degree holders, would be successful, calm, and confident. But what's the reality? The highest levels of confusion, anxiety, and fear are often found among the most educated. Today, we don't lack information. We lack direction. Knowledge is scattered everywhere, but no one teaches how to apply it in the right direction. And that's where a guru or mentor becomes essential. A guru isn't someone who just gives speeches from a stage. A guru is someone who shows you your blind spots, who reveals the places where you lie to yourself every day. Look at your own life. How many times have you made the wrong decision despite knowing everything? How often did you choose what was easy, even when you knew what was right? That's the difference. Information reaches the mind, but a guru's guidance reaches the heart and soul. And here's an uncomfortable truth. We don't seek a mentor because we think we're already enough. Ego quietly says, "I understand everything." But life loudly responds, "If you did, why are you still here?" This is why, without the right mentor at the right time, years of life are wasted, time, energy, and in the end, only regret remains. Ask yourself, have you ever seen someone reach great heights without any mentor? Maybe one or two rare cases. But most successful people admit, someone guided them at the right time. Some call it a guru, some a mentor, some a coach, some destiny. The name doesn't matter. The role is the same, to keep you from getting lost. Here's a simple but deep question. If you already knew the way, why would you open Google Maps? And if Google Maps were perfect, why does it sometimes take you down the wrong route? The same applies to life. Not everyone who gives advice is a guru. Not every popular person is a mentor. Not every sweet word is truth. Sometimes, the wrong mentor leads you confidently in the wrong direction, and by the time you realize it, you've gone too far. That's where fear comes in. Because a wrong mentor doesn't just waste your time. They weaken your thinking. They make you feel you're nothing without them. They create dependency. And worst of all, they stop you from asking questions. If any person or system makes you afraid to question, understand this. That's not knowledge, it's control. Now here's the exciting part. A true mentor does the opposite. They make you uncomfortable, but for your growth. They praise less and increase your responsibility. They give you questions instead of answers. Sometimes they silently observe, so you discover your own strength. A true mentor makes you realize that you are far more capable than you think. You don't need a mentor when everything is going fine. You need one when you ask yourself, why am I still stuck despite all this effort? When you repeat the same mistakes again and again. When a voice inside says, something is wrong, but you can't figure out what. If you ignore that voice, life will teach you, and life's lessons are often very expensive. The biggest problem today isn't that mentors don't exist. The problem is, we don't know how to recognize the right one. We get impressed by glamour, followers, big words. But a true mentor doesn't impress you, they transform you. And transformation is never comfortable. This is where the real journey begins, the journey of recognizing the right guide. The day you choose the right mentor, clarity starts entering your life. Decisions don't become easy, but they become right. Fear doesn't disappear, but you gain the courage to move forward despite it. Now think about this. If 5 years from now you're still standing where you are today, who will be responsible? The system, circumstances, or the decision you didn't make at the right time? A true mentor doesn't give shortcuts, but they save you from wandering. And sometimes, that alone is the greatest blessing. So understand this clearly. A mentor is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And finding the right one isn't luck, it's awareness. And that awareness begins here. Because what comes next is not just a story, it's recognition. Perhaps the most important turning point of your life. Narendranath Datta was not an ordinary young man. At an age when most people become part of the crowd, he was asking deep questions. A sharp intellect, a restless mind, and an unusual unease. The kind of unease that arises when a person feels that the world is not showing the complete truth. Narendra felt the same. Outwardly, everything seemed fine: education, music, intelligence. But inside, something was incomplete. And when a question awakens within, it doesn't stay quiet. Narendra was wandering with one question. Just one, but it was a dangerous one. Have you seen God? Notice this carefully. He didn't ask, do you believe in God? He didn't ask, how do you describe God? He asked for direct experience. And this is what makes most people uncomfortable, because playing with words is easy, but taking responsibility for experience is hard. He went to great saints, scholars, and sages. Some quoted the Vedas, some spoke of the Upanishads, some explained philosophy. The answers were beautiful, full of heavy, impressive words. They sounded good. But every time, Narendra returned empty-handed. Because he wasn't searching for words, he wanted truth. And truth is always simple, but never cheap. Here's something important to understand. Most people don't move forward because they become satisfied with wrong answers. They convince themselves, this must be the truth. But Narendra didn't have that weakness. He didn't judge answers, he judged the state of the person giving them. If the person himself isn't at peace, what value does his knowledge have? Now think about today. If a young person went around asking the same question everywhere, what would people call him? Confused, arrogant, oversmart. But this very restlessness later gives birth to Swami Vivekananda. Because when restlessness is in the right direction, it doesn't destroy, it creates. And then one day, he meets Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. No grand setup, no stage, no crowd of followers. Just a simple man, with an unusual depth in his eyes. Narendra comes, asks the same question. Have you seen God? And here, the story takes a turn. Ramakrishna doesn't pause. No philosophy. No scriptures. No introduction. Just a direct answer. Yes, I have seen God, just as I see you. Feel that moment. The person in front of you isn't trying to impress, scare, or convince you. He's simply stating truth as it is. No miracle happened. No divine voice echoed. But something inside Narendra shook. Because for the first time, he met someone whose words and state were the same. That is the first sign of a true guru. They live what they speak. This is what drew Narendra toward him. But along with excitement, there was fear too. Because when you meet someone who can see through all your masks, your ego becomes afraid. Narendra's ego was afraid too. He didn't accept immediately. He started testing Ramakrishna, asking questions, arguing, even mocking at times. And Ramakrishna just smiled. There's a powerful lesson here. A true guru is not disturbed by your doubts. They know that without doubt, faith becomes hollow. A false guru fears questions. A true guru welcomes them. Ramakrishna never silenced Narendra. He never said, "Just believe." He allowed him to see for himself. If Narendra had walked away that day because of ego, history would have been different. Sometimes life gives you a moment, a meeting, a person, an experience. If you recognize it, the path opens. If not, life moves on, and you are left behind. Narendra saw no marketing in Ramakrishna. No agenda. No fear. Just a strange peace. And that kept pulling him back again and again. Slowly, Narendra began to understand. This man wasn't trying to change him, but helping him meet himself. And that is the most difficult process, meeting yourself. Because there, excuses don't work. Truth stands right in front of you. Ramakrishna never gave Narendra any label. He said, "Your path is different." Hearing this didn't break Narendra's ego, it expanded it. But the story doesn't end here. This is just the beginning. The time ahead would test Narendra's faith, patience, and surrender. Ramakrishna wasn't just going to be a guru. He was going to transform Narendra into Vivekananda. And transformation is never easy. So remember this. If someone enters your life and shakes your thinking without force, leads you more toward questions than answers, calms you, but doesn't make you complacent, then understand, this is not an ordinary meeting. It's a signal from life. And what comes next is not just a story, it's a test. Because finding the right guru is the first step, but walking their path is the real challenge. Ramakrishna never taught blind faith to Narendra, and that's what made him different from others. Most so-called gurus first shut down the disciple's mind. They say, "Just believe. Don't question. Have faith." But Ramakrishna did the opposite. He didn't suppress Narendra's questions. He tested him. And this test wasn't easy. Because Narendra wasn't just curious, he had ego too. The ego of logic. The ego of intelligence. And honestly, this ego exists in every intelligent person. Once, Narendra clearly told Ramakrishna, "You are emotional, immersed in devotion. I follow logic." Now imagine, if a disciple said this to a guru today, what would happen? The guru might get angry, give a long lecture, or try to prove superiority. But Ramakrishna did nothing. No argument. No speech. Just a smile. And that smile confused Narendra the most. Because when someone challenges you, you are ready. But when someone observes you without reacting, your ego becomes uncomfortable. Ramakrishna knew Narendra couldn't be changed through words. He needed experience. And experience doesn't come from books. It comes from confronting life. Then one day, something happened that shook Narendra completely. Ramakrishna didn't argue, didn't explain any theory. He brought Narendra close to an experience he couldn't deny. In that one moment, all his logic, arguments, and mental frameworks collapsed. And when logic breaks, a person feels fear. Because logic was his support. Understand this fear. When your greatest strength itself comes into question, you either run or you surrender. Narendra didn't run. He chose to surrender. But this surrender wasn't weakness. It was a willingness to learn. And this is the mark of a true guru. They don't keep you comfortable. A false guru tells you what you want to hear. They praise you, stroke your ego. Because a satisfied ego stops questioning. But a true guru doesn't do that. They take you to places where you don't want to face yourself. If a mentor always makes you feel that you're the best, that you can never be wrong, that the world is always wrong, be careful. Growth doesn't come from praise. Growth comes from friction. And friction is uncomfortable. Ramakrishna slowly exposed every layer of Narendra. His intellect, his attachments, his fears. Each time, Narendra felt uncomfortable. Sometimes angry. Sometimes irritated. Sometimes he even walked away. But something kept pulling him back. The attraction of truth. Here's the deeper insight. When someone brings you closer to truth, it feels both frightening and exciting. Because truth transforms you. And while the ego fears change, the soul feels drawn toward it. This was the inner conflict within Narendra. Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa never tried to make Narendra like himself. He knew that Narendra was not meant for devotion alone, but for power. However, that power needed direction, and to give direction, the ego first had to melt. Without breaking the ego, no one becomes truly great. If there is someone in your life who always keeps you comfortable, who never shows you your weaknesses, who never challenges you, then you are wasting time. Because time waits for no one, and neither does potential. Ramakrishna praised Narendra very little. But whenever he did, it was precise. He saw Narendra's potential, not his ego. He understood that this young man hadn't come just to become a disciple. He was meant for something far greater. But for that, Narendra first had to fight himself. And this is where most people stop. Because the hardest battle is the one within. Fighting the outside world is easy. But fighting your inner weaknesses, fears, attachments, and ego, that requires courage. And a true guru is the one who gives you that courage. Now think about this. What if Ramakrishna had taken Narendra's words personally? What if he had let his own ego interfere? A great disciple would never have been born. That's why a guru's ego can be an even bigger danger than a disciple's ego. Ramakrishna knew Narendra hadn't come just to follow him. He knew that one day this young man would shake the world. So he didn't bind him, he prepared him. Because a true guru doesn't hold you back. They prepare you to fly. And this preparation is the hardest part. This idea is simple, but extremely powerful. And most people make a mistake right here. We think a guru's job is to make us like them. But the truth is the opposite. A true guru never turns you into a copy of themselves. Because if everyone became copies, how would the world move forward? Innovation, leadership, transformation, these come from originality, not imitation. Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa himself was a great spiritual practitioner. Meditation, devotion, and deep immersion in God, that was his life. He was calm, simple, detached from the world. On the other hand, Swami Vivekananda, Narendra, was full of fire. He had the restlessness to change the world. He had logic, leadership, questions, and immense strength. Now imagine, if Ramakrishna had told Narendra, "Become like me, practice devotion, leave the world," what would have happened? Another monk might have been created. But Vivekananda would never have been born. This is the true mark of a great guru. They recognize your nature. They don't ask, "What do you want to become?" They see, "What can you become?" And to see that requires deep insight. An ego-driven guru tries to shape the disciple in their own image, so their name continues. But a true guru frees the disciple, so their work continues. Here's something important to understand. When a guru starts making you like them, your individuality begins to die. Slowly you stop thinking and start following. Your habit of questioning disappears. And one day, you realize you're not living your own life. You're living someone else's dream. That is the greatest loss. Ramakrishna never did this with Narendra. He recognized his strength. He saw that Narendra wasn't meant to sit in meditation all his life. He was meant to go out into the world and act. And understanding this, he didn't stop him, didn't bind him. He prepared him. Try to see the humor in this. If every mentor started creating people exactly like themselves, what kind of world would we live in? Everyone speaking like their teacher, thinking like their coach, looking like their guru, then where would diversity come from? Where would leadership come from? And most importantly, who would bring change? A true mentor never makes you dependent. They don't make you feel that you are nothing without them. Instead, they help you realize that you can stand on your own feet. And the day you start walking without their support, that same mentor feels the happiest, because their job is done. Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa didn't just give knowledge to Narendra. He gave him responsibility. He said, "Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached." But notice this carefully. This line wasn't just Ramakrishna's thought. It was the voice of Narendra's own soul. Ramakrishna simply brought it out. And that is true mentorship. A mentor sees within you what you cannot see yourself, and then pushes you in that direction. Sometimes forcefully, sometimes silently, but always keeping your potential in mind. If you are with a mentor who never pushes you out of your comfort zone, who makes you afraid of taking risks, who teaches you to always play safe, then you are slowly becoming smaller while time keeps passing. Potential doesn't expire, but it does get ignored. Ramakrishna knew Narendra couldn't be confined. He understood that if this energy were held back, it would break from within. So he let him fly. He prepared him for the world. And that is why Swami Vivekananda could go beyond India and shake the entire world. Understand this as well. A true mentor never asks for credit. They stand in the background. When the disciple rises, people know the disciple's name, not the guru's. And that is the guru's greatest victory. Now look at your own life. Are you being encouraged to become yourself or someone else? Is your thinking expanding or being limited? If you constantly feel like you're being forced into a mold, be alert. Because greatness doesn't come from molds. A true mentor sets you free. They give you responsibility. They teach you how to make your own decisions, how to accept mistakes, and how to learn from them. They don't make you perfect. They make you capable. That is why the relationship between Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Swami Vivekananda is so extraordinary. There was no dependency, there was trust. No imitation, there was expression. No control, there was empowerment. This is the true guru-disciple tradition. And if you find such a guide in your life, understand this. You are not just learning, you are becoming. Now this is no longer just a story. This is about your life. Listening to the story of Ramakrishna and Vivekananda is easy. But applying its lessons to recognize the right mentor in your own life, that's the real work. And this is where most people fail. Because we often start looking outside, while true recognition always begins within. So first, ask yourself one question. Does the person you consider your mentor give you the freedom to ask questions? Or do they become uncomfortable, irritated, or evasive the moment you question them? Remember this, questions are not dangerous, questions are necessary. A mentor who is afraid of questions is actually hiding their own weakness. A true mentor welcomes questions, because they understand that questions are the beginning of understanding. Now the second question, and this one might be a little painful. Is your mentor genuinely happy with your growth? Or do you sense a slight insecurity in their tone when you start moving ahead? If someone becomes uncomfortable with your success, understand this. That's not mentorship, that's competition. A true mentor wants you to surpass them. And when you grow, they feel pride, not fear. Now the third and most important question. Do they tell you the truth, or just motivate you? In today's world, motivation has become very cheap. A few good lines, some emotional music, and instant excitement. But how long does that excitement last? A day, maybe a week at most. After that, it's the same life, same habits, same excuses. So remember, motivation is temporary. Transformation is permanent. A true mentor doesn't tell you what feels good. They tell you what is necessary. Now understand something important. A wrong guru often uses fear. They make you feel that you are nothing without them. They create psychological dependency. Slowly, your decision-making power fades. You start seeking approval for every step. And one day, you realize, you're not living your life. You're living according to someone else. That is the most dangerous situation. The opposite happens with a true mentor. A true mentor gives you courage. They say, "You can go beyond even me." This may sound simple, but its impact is deep. Because for the first time, someone sees that much potential in you. And that belief slowly becomes your self-confidence. Here's another practical point. A true mentor never presents themselves as God. They don't claim to be the ultimate truth. They show you different perspectives. They want you to think for yourself, decide for yourself. And even if you disagree with them, they don't get offended. They try to understand your thinking. Now the exciting part. When you find the right mentor, clarity begins to enter your life. Things don't become easy, but they become clear. You start knowing what to do and what not to do. Distractions begin to fade. And most importantly, you start feeling a sense of stability within. A stability that doesn't depend on external circumstances. Don't wait for the perfect mentor. A mentor appears when the student is ready. And a student becomes ready when their intention is clear. If you're just looking for shortcuts, you'll only find people who motivate you. But if you truly want to transform, life will introduce you to the right guide. And now the deepest truth. A guru is not outside. You must first recognize them within. When you are honest with yourself, when you accept your weaknesses, when you are humble enough to learn, only then does a guru enter your life. Sometimes in the form of a person, sometimes as an experience, and sometimes as a difficult situation. Remember, Swami Vivekananda was not born great. He was made through the guidance of the right guru, at the right time, in the right direction. And that same possibility exists within you. The only difference is, how honestly are you searching? Now the question is yours. Do you want to just follow the crowd and feel safe? Or do you want to become someone who creates their own path, even if that path is difficult? If this message makes you uncomfortable, makes you think, then understand, this discomfort is a sign of growth. And if you've started asking yourself these questions right now, maybe your first guru has already appeared. Friends, if these ideas have touched your heart, bring them into your life, and share them with others. Like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring content. As Swami Vivekananda said, "Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached." See you in the next video, with a new inspiration.